Welcome. So we're going to, in this lesson, talk about rational indices. Now, the first question we need to ask ourselves is what on earth does the word rational mean? Well, whenever you see the word rational, what I want you to think of is fractions. And that's all it's really saying. So we could think about this as being fractional indices. Indices, which are fractions. And you can see that in our first example here. We have x raised to 1 on m. So 1 on m is a fraction, or we can say it's a rational indice. And that's all it means. And what we're going to be seeing is how we can connect rational indices to this notation right here. So this would be the the mth root. So this is our radical sign. So we're going to be seeing how, rational indices are connected to this root notation here. All right, let's just dive straight into it. I really feel that examples are the best way to learn this stuff. So it says we need to rewrite the following. And our first example here, they've given us this thing here. So we're going to ask ourselves, how does this kind of connect to the definition that we've been given here? And as you can see, if I have 1 over some number, that number appears above the radical sign there, just in this place here. So according to that logic here, if I was to write this as a rational indice, this would be x 1 on 2, where my denominator is what I see here. Now, this is actually a unique case. This is what we call a square root, and I know that you've definitely seen these before. And when we're dealing with a square root, you actually don't have to put in the 2 there. And this is the only case where this applies. So for instance, if I was to say, what is the square root of 9? We know that's equal to 3, and there's actually an invisible 2 here, which we don't have to write down. I think the reason why we don't write it down is just because the square root is so common. But then we come to the next one here. And the way that we would say this is we would say that this right here is a fourth root. It's a fourth root. That's how we would say it. So the fourth root of x is kind of, and I'll write that, fourth root of x. So when you're kind of thinking about how you would say this, you'd say, what's the fourth root of x? Okay, and how could we change this notation so it looks like this? Well, again, because I've got a 4 here, that 4 will appear in the denominator. So it's going to be x 1 on 4. And then we come to our last one here, and you should pause and see if you can do this one yourself. Hopefully you've picked up the pattern. It's going to be x 1 on 7. And how would you say this? You would say that this is the 7th root of x. Perfect. So that's just some definitional understandings of what rational roots are. Hopefully you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next part.